for women in publishing. Thank you for joining this special series of interviews hosted by Chosen Pen Publishing and the Success from Home podcast. We look forward to having you each week as we introduce to you another woman in the literary community. Hey, everybody. Happy Saturday. It is I, Dr. Anissa Short, with another broadcast of the Success from Home series. Listen, you guys, if you've been following me all month, you know I have been interviewing and introducing to you a bunch of wonderful personalities, women that I have known for a while and those that I've met most recently. And the common denominator of them all is that they are engaged or have been engaged in publishing, whether relatively new or over the years. So they are authors, they are literary agents. They are engaged in publishing in and of itself. Maybe they're a publisher, an editor, a formatter. They may be someone who handles marketing and assists others with the promoting of their books and or works. And I'm excited today to have another fabulous woman. I've had the opportunity to know her for a while. For those of you who know me, you know I moved to the Fayetteville area, Fayetteville, North Carolina, that is. Actually, tomorrow will make 12 years that I've been in this city. I moved here in 2013, and I'm going to say probably around the eighth or ninth year, Tiffany and I became acquainted. Tiffany, welcome to the broadcast. Thanks so much for saying yes to the invitation. How are you, sister friend?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I've been well. How you been?
I've been great, doing well. Thanks for asking. Now, first, I want to say this for those who might be watching. Tiffany is away. She's away visiting family. And of course, this just goes to show how success from home is truly possible, because when you work for yourself or you are engaged in any kind of entrepreneurial venture of any sort, one of the beautiful things about that is you take it with you. So you're not limited by territories. You're not limited by any four walls, anything of that nature. Wherever you are, you can take it with you. And so she's in her car office right now, coming to us live from the great state of Tennessee. Tiffany, tell everybody a little bit about you.
Hi, everyone. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I am Tiffany BRenee, aka Tiffany Upchurch. A lot of people know me as an author and poet. I was born in Nuremberg, Germany. Through byways of the military. I'm also a veteran. I'm also a youth program director in Dunn for after school program. And I'm also a full-time caregiver for my clients on the weekends in Raleigh, North Carolina. So I do a lot.
She wears a lot of hats. Listen,
Yes.
that's one thing that hasn't changed, because you were wearing a lot of hats when I met you.
Oh,
So
yes.
obviously you like the hats. So Tiffany has two books. Am I right? Tiffany is two, right? That you've
I
authored.
have four, actually.
Oh, pardon me. I stand
Yes.
corrected. All right. So let's tell us about your four books.
So, I always knew I wanted to be an author, and I've always knew I wanted to be a poet. So I use poetry as a way of therapy for me and as a way for me to share my voice with the world. So I started writing at the age of 15. And my first book that I self-published through lulu.com was Ruined Womb in 2017. And then I did my second book, A Restored Womb, in 2018. And then I just did, I call them my two twin books. I just did those in 2023.
Okay.
So I just did those. So my first one is named Ruined Womb, using infertility, from infertility to inspiration. The second one is A Restored Womb, using affirmations to heal. The third one is called Rise from the Ashes. And then the fourth one is called Bloom Already. So my first two books are about dealing with infertility. I've dealt with infertility myself for over 10 years. I've battled ovarian cysts, fibroids, two miscarriages, all of that. So I wanted to give back, especially to the Black community. Because us as Black women, sometimes we go through miscarriages that we may not talk about. So I just wanted to just encourage other women and families that go through that to know that they're not alone.
Right.
And then my other two books I just did in 2023, they're about just overcoming different obstacles. I know for me, I had an obstacle of getting through a really rough divorce, and well, it lasted for years. It lasted from 2019 to 2021. And it was really rough on me. It was really, really, really rough. And by the grace of God, I made it through, and so did my son. So I just wanted again to just put it out there to the Black community that you can really overcome your obstacles if you first put God first and you really rely on Him. And then also, if you have like a sister circle and support and family that can just really encourage you and really uplift you, you know?
Yeah, I totally get it. I remember, Tiffany, with your first two books, I'm most familiar with them because when I was hosting my Pumps and Pearls events here in the city, I remember you being one of my vendors. And I
Yes.
commend you on making the decision to take your story and putting it in a form that other people can digest. Dr. Norma, who is the founder of Chosen PM Publishing, the company that I have the honor of representing, oftentimes says is that when you have life to happen, challenges to happen, maybe traumatic experiences to happen, and even the, well, so let's say the good, the bad, or good, the bad, or indifferent. If you When you make it out of that circumstance healed and better, then it's your responsibility to share your story, because what you went through and you overcame is for someone else. And you place a lot of emphasis on the African American community, and I know why, as an African American woman, because a lot of times in our communities we don't discuss anything. We go through traumas, we go, sometimes we heal from them, sometimes we don't. We keep them in a closet, tucked away. And then in the meantime, there are women right around us that are dealing with the same things that we have dealt with, and we don't say anything.
Yeah.
We owe it to the next person, to the next generation, to share that testimony or to share that story of overcoming, so that they too can know they're not alone. They're not the only one that's ever had to experience this. And if somebody else can get through it and live beyond it and thrive, then they have the possibility of doing the same thing. So I was very proud of those first two books. And then I remember when you were going through the transition of being a married woman to not being a married woman, and to know that you've published two more books still with that same objective, is using your story as a platform to make a difference. How have people received your books, Tiffany?
I'm just really grateful that people have still received me, you know? I've gotten really great responses. Even just doing word of mouth, doing different events, like doing the events I did with you, and doing other book engagements. Like, I've had women to just inbox me to say thank you so much for writing something that I can relate to.
Yeah,
Like,
wow.
like I've like, even I was even nominated for author of the year through a magazine, and I remember going to their empowerment luncheon, and I remember a lady, she approached me after I stood up and I gave my testimony and I gave my story, and she was like, you know what, thank you for coming, because I pressed my way through today. She was like, I just went through a miscarriage, and and it has really taken a toll on my health. But I'm
Mhm.
so glad that I pushed myself to come to this luncheon and to meet you. So,
Yeah,
yeah, so I'm just really thankful to God that He has given me the strength to get through my trials and tribulations, but He's
right,
also given me just also the strength to just share and to
right.
be an inspiration to other people, you know?
Right, right. That opens up a platform. I just completed working with, well, October last year I worked with another client who wrote her memoir. And in the storyline of her sharing her story, she has overcome trauma as a child, molestation. She was in a abusive marriage, and she suffered in the course of her life with breast cancer. And she's overcome all of that. So in the course of writing her memoir and telling those stories, all of that, she incorporated all of that, and it was more to the book than that, but nevertheless she shared those three segments of her life. what has happened since then, Tiffany, and I believe I heard you say the same thing. Since then, she's had many people to say, I want you to come and speak at my yada 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 event. Or, she's had during, I think her book launched in October. She was able to speak to cancer survivors. She's also been able to talk to children about what are good touches and bad touches. She's been able to speak to other people in a ministry capacity about how prayer got her through. Her book has opened doors for her to be
Yes.
recognized, not simply for the book, but the story became a platform. Is that what you found that has happened for you as well, Tiffany?
Yes, absolutely. And I didn't even picture it that way.
I
I just
know.
wanted to just give back,
Right.
but it has opened doors for me. It's opened doors for me through book events, through women conferences, through small groups, church, school,
Wow.
through the Black community, even just a regular community,
Yeah.
um yeah, so I've had plenty open doors
Yeah.
for
Your
me
top
with this.
your topic is something that all women can relate to. When women know what it is to deal with infertility, they know what it is to deal with miscarriages. If not them themselves, they have somebody in close proximity. They know about the adjustments and transitions and the stresses of going through a divorce. All of that is that's what I call life be life and Tiffany, right? And
Yes.
and a lot of times people can take on the burden thinking that maybe it was something they did, maybe they weren't good enough, or maybe they didn't try hard enough, and that's not always the case. So I think it's
Yeah.
beautiful that you had the courage and forethought to share your story, but also to be willing to be, transparent and authentic. Because when you are transparent and authentic, I say what comes from the heart touches the heart, and people will relate, and then you make a difference. And so that woman at the awards program is just an example of what can be expected. So kudos to you. So now let's
Thank
tell me
you.
now. You've already hinted to it. You were born in Germany because your parents were military, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now with this second edition, you're doing second editions of one or two of your books. I can't remember, but you also reference Germany. So let's bring that together full circle.
So I am doing some new additions on three of my books. I'm doing an addition on my second book, A Restored Womb, using affirmations to heal. I only want to just adjust the cover. So that should be available in the fall, and you can look at that on Amazon, and you
Okay.
can look under Tiffany BRenee or Tiffany Upchurch, so you can find me on there. And then my other two books, the ones I just did, The Rise from the Ashes and The Bloom Already, I just want to fix the inside.
Okay. I
Like
got you.
yes, I am such a perfectionist.
But that's, what, people have second editions all the time. So that's not
Yes.
anything out of the norm. For those of us that are a part of the publishing industry, we understand that you're the first edition, and then you decide I need to add a little extra here, a little extra there, and you do a second edition. Are you planning to debut these books or travel to Germany, or is that a part of your marketing plan this year with these new books?
Oh yes, absolutely. I just recently translated all four of my books to German. Actually,
Get out of town.
I just translated all of those to Germany. So I'm in the process of reaching out to the popular book publishing companies in Germany, and my
Mhm.
focus is to really get my books out there and to eventually move back to Germany.
All
So
right.
yes.
All right. Okay. So you're just not going. Okay, I get it. So listen, my theme for 2025 is thrive in 2025. And in doing that, the how of thriving is to enlarge my territory, which would be enlarging my mindset capacity, my connections, where I tangibly make a mark in the lives of people and or locations. So Tiffany, sounds like to
Yes.
me you're ready to enlarge your territory by taking your books. You've already translated them into German, so now
Yes.
they're ready. So when you hit the soil in Germany, you're ready to continue to do what you've been doing here in the States and making a difference in the lives of women. But you can do it also in another language, in another culture, on another territory. Are you excited about that?
Oh my goodness. It brings tears to my eyes. I'm so excited. And I just really thank God for not taking his hands off of me. Like, I give God praise for everything that he has allowed to happen, everything that he brought me through, even where I'm at now, the future. I just praise God because I know God is the one that really brought me through those trials, tribulations, trauma, and have really brought me to the space that I'm at to be the best person I can be, you
That's
know?
good. That's awesome. That's awesome. So this had nothing to do with your publishing of your book, this statement I'm about to make, but it does have everything to do with your life. You're getting married in September, as I understand.
Yes, to my honey Tyrone Oates.
All right, honey, Tyrone. Oh, so he got his whole name, his full name.
Yes.
So now, is he military? Is that why you know you're going to Germany, or is that how is that working out with y'all getting married in September? When do you plan to go to Germany?
Well, I'm planning to go to Germany after we get married. We're still
Okay,
adjusting because, not only that, but just adjusting with our boys. Because, I have a 19-year-old son, but
right.
so does he.
Oh
His
wow.
son is 19 as well. So,
Okay.
we're just trying to adjust our lives and his and our boys' lives as well. So I'm looking forward to traveling to Germany as early as the spring of 2026.
Oh, good. That's going to be great. So that's a lot of exciting things. So you got your books being revamped. So your second
Yes.
editions will be done,
Hmm.
all in the midst of planning your big day in September.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
by the time you get the dust settles, the holidays come around. And then you get past the holiday season, and then we're back during the spring, and you'll be headed to another country.
Yes.
So, what's the first thing you plan to do when you hit Germany?
Oh my goodness. I really plan to eat a schnitzel. I have missed Germany. I've really just missed the atmosphere of Germany, the
Mm,
food, the people, the language. I actually used to speak fluent German, but when I came to the States, I lost it. So,
yeah.
um, in preparation of going to Germany again, I'm gonna be teaching myself the language again.
All right. That's awesome. That's so smart. All right. So, outside of what I've already highlighted as to what's going on in your fabulous world, do you have any other speaking engagements or any other conferences that are coming up that will give you an opportunity to share your books or to maybe share with the audience? Anything coming up soon?
Not at the moment, I guess because I've been so in tune with family and just
Right.
planning to get married in September. So I don't
Right.
have anything coming up, but I would love to be a part of speaking engagements. So you can reach out to me on Facebook at Tiffany BRenee, or you can reach me at Tiffany Rivera 2025 at gmail.com. If you would like for me to come out and speak, do different book events, things like that, I am interested.
Excellent, excellent. I want to share something with not only you, Tiffany, but those who might be watching or even watching the replay because I'm hosting something. I'm hosting a great event. I partner with a wonderful woman out of Atlanta, Benicia Ponder, and we are hosting a workshop called Marketing Mastery. I'm actually the host. She's going to be the facilitator. It's about maximizing your book's impact. You've already tapped into some of what we're going to cover in this workshop. But one of the things I found over the years is that we write the book, and we tell everybody it's on Amazon. We have the book signing, we're excited, and then we do nothing. And so we just anticipate, not everybody, but I'm just speaking, we anticipate people are just going to find us on Amazon and just buy books by the hundreds and thousands. Now, that would be wonderful if that happened. But there are other strategic ways in which one who is an author can do to put themselves out there. The book is just really the beginning. So this workshop is about turning your book into a powerful platform for impact and income. Can we get excited? We want to
Yes.
make impact. We want to make a difference. We want to touch lives. But of course, that should turn into income for us as well. No more relying on royalties or hoping it sells itself. So this workshop is Saturday, April 5th at 11 a.m. It is a virtual workshop. It's only 47 to invest. And for those who do register, you will get the playback so you can have it for future reference. And the QR code takes you straight to registering. I have probably, I don't know how many people have registered now, but I'm letting everyone I know that's an author um, to participate, because I believe this is important. Whether you've written a book, rewriting a book, or have a book coming out within this year, this workshop is for you. Benicia Ponder is engaged in the publishing industry just as myself, and we're partnering together to host this event. Again, it's a virtual workshop from 11, it'll probably be from like 11 to 1. It's only gonna be about 2 hours. And even if this is something that you know that you need to be a part of, but your schedule does not allow for you to participate live, go ahead and register anyway, because in doing so, you get the playback, so you don't miss a thing. So this is an event that's coming up that I want everybody to be a part of. Okay. Tiffany, I don't know if you can participate or not. I know you got a lot on your plate, but it would be great to have you, because the
Yes,
rules
ma'am.
that apply here, like I said, some of the stuff you've already been doing, right? But there's some other
Yes.
things that I know you can benefit from. And then tell any of your author friends, we have those,
Yes.
because we tend to create a tribe once we out publish a book. Any last comments that you want to share? Anything else you want people to know about Miss Tiffany BRenee?
Well, yes, I do want to share one more thing, but I just want to thank you for this opportunity and thank you so
Oh, you're
much for reaching
welcome.
out to me. And I look forward to meeting up with you and us working together again and me coming to
Yes.
your speaking engagements and your book events. I'm excited about that.
You know
Um,
what? We can make that
yes.
happen. That's the easiest said and done. I got to catch you before you get married. Then you get whisked away to another country.
Yes, ma'am. So I want to say this one last thing. I'm also going to be turning my books. Well, I started the process of turning my 4 books into an actual business, having an LLC. So it's
Okay,
going to be BRenee Empowerment LLC.
gotcha. That's so
So
smart. So smart.
yes,
So smart.
yes. So
Look,
I'm.
you all up in our workshop. You so smart. Stop talking. Stop talking before they won't register. But that's beautiful, Tiffany, because with you moving out of the country, you're operating in a space that, because of the stories that you share and the essence of your books, every woman from all walks of life can relate. It's just a matter of being able to communicate with them. And so I commend you again on doing what you're doing and what you've already done, for, shaking yourself off, dusting yourself off, and saying, I'm getting back into the game. And then taking preventive measures to shift to a new country. You said, I'm ready to go
Yes.
back to Germany. I will be going back to Germany. I've gotten getting my books translated into German, and then I'm going to refresh my own self on the language. So when I hit the
Yes.
ground, when I step into the country, I am ready to engage. And so I wish you all
Yes.
the best, all the
Thank
best of success.
you.
I have
Thank
no doubt
you.
in my mind. And I wish you the best marriage there is. Of course, I consider mine is the best there is, but no competition. I just believe everyone should be happy, and may he be your peace. Add
Thank you.
to your peace
Yes.
and add to your joy, and vice versa. I appreciate you
Yes.
hanging out with me in this space.
Thank
I've got
you.
this is
Thank
a
you.
special edition version, actually, this broadcast today, because I have 2 powerful women. Tiffany BRenee was my first, but in the studio behind the scenes is another personality that's out of sight, that's ready to hang out with me in this space. I so thank you again, Tiffany, for saying yes and
Thank you.
reconnecting. It's been a while since we talked. COVID just caused a lot of, disconnections,
Yes.
reconnections, but we're reconnected now. I definitely
Yes.
want to get together and have some conversation before you leave the country. Let's be clear,
Yes,
okay?
ma'am. Yes,
Before you leave
ma'am.
the country.
Please contact me. Please contact me.
I would definitely do that. I know how to find you, kind of, sort of. I kind of sort of know how to find you. All right, lady. Well, you have a wonderful Saturday. Enjoy your time with your family in Tennessee, which is my home state where I was born and raised. We're going to transition now. I'm going to play this quick little video about something I've got coming up really soon, and then I'll be introducing my next guest and bringing her into the studio. Tiffany, have a great weekend. Have a great weekend and be
You
safe.
too. Thank
Take
you so
care.
much. Love
You're
you.
welcome.
Take
Love you
care.
too.
Dr. Anissa Short, Amazon international best-selling author, introduces her 10th literary project coming March 2025, The Quintessential Woman, the Success Strategist Guide to Leadership and Legacy. From the Proverbs 31 woman is more than a devotional. It's a powerful guide for faith-driven female entrepreneurs. Discover timeless biblical wisdom, actionable strategies, and the keys to lasting impact. Pre-order your copy today right from Amazon and step into the leader you're meant to be.
Hey, Miss Ernestine L. Smith, welcome to the broadcast. How are you, my friend? You're muted, sweetie. You're muted. Let me see if I can help you out. Let me see. Hold on.
I got it.
I
I
got
got it.
you. All right. Well, happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday to you. How are you?
I'm fabulous. Thank you so much for being willing to make this transition. You all, Miss Ernestine was one of my guests, was scheduled actually for this past Monday, but she had life to happen. And
Yeah.
so, you know how life be life, and you know, life has no respect. It's just so disrespectful. But when things happen, we don't give up. We just pivot. So thank you for being willing to shift and to make the pivot. Thank you for carving out time this Saturday to hang out with me in this space. And so,
Thank you for having me.
absolutely, absolutely. I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the broadcast that I said during this month, which is Women's History Month, I have endeavored to introduce various personalities, women in publishing in various aspects. And I said that some of these women are women I've known for a while, like Miss Tiffany BRenee, who was my first guest. But Miss Ernestine and I just got connected like what, 45 days ago.
45 days. Yes. A
And she,
divine connection indeed.
I know, and she's stuck with me now. I don't know if that's
Amen.
tell everybody a little bit about you, Ernestine. Now, listen, don't tell them all the good stuff. We're gonna talk about the literary part, but who
Okay.
you are, where you're from, what's your favorite ice cream, what do you do when you're relaxing, you know, little stuff like that.
I'm Ernestine L. Smith, and I am a author, spoken word artist. I am from originally, I'm from Savannah, Georgia. My father, my late father, I lost him in August of last year. The Honorable Sergeant Larry E. Smith Sr. Um, he was military. So when you were speaking to Tiffany about Germany, it brought all those memories back. I'm like, that was one of my language, German. But yes, I grew up in Europe, was raised in Germany, and we transitioned to Savannah, where my father retired. So I spent my adolescence years along with my siblings in Savannah, Georgia. So that's where I tell people I'm from,
That
because
makes
we're a military family, so we travel all over the world.
you're really from everywhere when you're a military
Yes,
family. That's one of the
yes.
I am not military family. I'm in Fayetteville, North Carolina, where the home of Fort Bragg, but we moved
Mhm,
here because of my husband's federal job. So I am a, you know,
mhm,
federal standpoint. But now I had three uncles, well, two uncles to serve in the Air Force, but I was
mhm.
like maybe two. I don't know, you
Oh,
know,
wow.
that don't even count. But one of the things I love about being in the military community is the fact that
Mhm.
I met people from all walks of life,
Yes.
all walks
Yes.
of life, who come from everywhere, not only just in the United States, but who traveled internationally, who may have
Right.
been born in another country. I remember when I first moved here, the neighborhood I lived in a cul-de-sac, right?
Mhm.
So there was one lady in the cul-de-sac who had the forethought that we should get together like quarterly as neighbors. And you know, like
Mm.
potluck, you know, nothing major, just get your lawn chairs, meet in the cul-de-sac, everybody bring something, right? And
Right.
I sat there and I was like, wow. So they're from Germany, and that family is from the Dominican Republic. And that
Mhm.
family, you know, he met her and she's Ethiopian. And then these people are from Vermont originally, and these people are
Mhm.
West Africa. It was just like I was like, I'm sitting here.
The
I'm,
multicultural is
and
a beautiful thing.
it is a beautiful thing. And one person is
Yes.
serving me a dish from her country, and I'm like, okay, it doesn't look like anything I've ever seen before, but I'm willing to try it. You know, that kind of thing. It's been a
Mhm.
beautiful experience for me, Ernestine. It really has. And so that's one of the biggest blessings I say in living in Fayetteville, is because I've
It
met
is.
people from so many different walks of life, and it broadens your horizons and your
Yeah.
understanding that really we're much more alike than we are different. We really
Amen.
we're really much.
And that's why having that sense of multicultural, I'm able to relate to people and receive all kind of people, all different backgrounds. And I just remember as a teenager, one of my first experience with racism was in Savannah. And I
Mhm.
remember having that conversation with my mother, because I was dating a young man that was not my my race.
Right.
And I remember going home crying, and I'm asking my mom, like, why are people so mean? And she sat me down and she said, the way you were raised, you was not raised to see color. Your father and I didn't raise you, but we now live in the South. And you remember the movie Roots? Yes,
Yes.
ma'am,
It's
because she
affecting
made
the
us
United
watch
States
that. And
in
she
the
said,
South.
well, this is the South, and this is the mentality of some people here.
Yeah,
So she had to explain that to me. So for me to be raised in such a multicultural atmosphere, as you
right.
described, on a military base, and then I went to school with German children. It was different coming to the United
I
States
can
and
believe it.
experiencing things that I never experienced
You
before.
know what? you know, you bring it to mind when I was a high school senior, my aunt had a young lady come live with them. She was a foreign exchange student. Okay.
Mhm.
So her name is Natasha, and I don't know if Natasha's gonna see this, but love you, sis. We still call her cousin. She and I graduated high school the same year, but she came from Holland, Amsterdam to the
Oh
United
yeah,
States and
love Amsterdam.
lived with my aunt and uncle. And of course, she's a melanin in her complexion, right? But she
Mhm.
communicated much of what you said. She never
Yes,
was. She was in an environment where no one really made issue with color. You know,
right,
everybody was together. Even her husband was a gorgeous. He's deceased now. God rest his soul. He just recently passed, but gorgeous, kind of a I don't know, a Clooney and a. I mean, he was.
Brad Pitt, baby, come on.
Yeah, listen, here's the thing that got me. When she came here,
Mhm.
she started working. Listen, her favorite restaurant became Captain D's. I don't
Oh
know,
wow.
but they didn't have a Captain. She was like, "Have you had that fish?" I'm like, "Yes, Natasha. We eat the fish all the time." So she got a part-time job there, while she in school, and she experienced racism, and it
Yep.
shook her to her core. I mean, it took. She
Mhm.
had to leave work that day, and my aunt had to explain it to her. She said, "But we don't have that where I'm from."
Right.
You know, it was just it was
It's a
it hurt,
culture shock.
it hurt me to my heart for her, but for us, we were
It
like,
was no big deal.
I
Mhm.
mean, it was a big
We
deal, but
used
it was
to
like
it.
we're not
Yeah.
we know we used to it, but she was shaken to her core. She said
Yeah.
that was one of the to this day she talks about it, you know, that, and then of course being in in the South, and where they're from, they ride bikes or they walk, and we had cars, and you know, it was just
Mhm.
so much to learn from being in her presence, and of course because we were the same age, we spent a lot of time together. So to
Mhm.
this day now, many years later, I ain't gonna tell my age, but so many years later, even though we've not seen each other in years, we're connected, and we refer to her as our cousin still. She's our cousin,
Amen.
you know. But
And
anyway,
see that, and even with me, even what you described and having that experience for many years, one of the things you will find out for like many years, I was a youth pastor for over 20 years. And one of the things that was so important, even my home church at the time, my spiritual mother, overseer, apostle, Dr. Gwendolyn T. Hope, was making sure our kids had that mindset to expand. So we traveled with our children. We took our kids to museums and just gave them a broader world. And so I remember even my high school year going to New York City. I went to a performing arts academy, and it was children that was scared to get on a plane. They never left Savannah. They never, and they were crying. And I'm looking like, oh, this is
I mean,
nothing for me.
right, you
And I
flown
thought
over
they
the,
were like, what's
I know,
going on? And
you
they were
flown
just
over the
afraid to get on
water.
the
I
plane.
know.
So it's important to even explore it,
Oh,
even if you gotta buy books and stuff. Let your children see another world other than the world that they live in.
Ernestine, you speaking, you listen. We talk about how limited our thinking is. It's really you're only limited by the thoughts that are in your minds. If your kids are
That's
not
right.
exposed to books, since this is women in publishing, if your
Come on.
kids if your kids are not going to read the books to broaden their horizon, to pique the interest in wanting to go other places, um, and you limit them to just the 5 blocks or just school home work, or maybe their
Mhm.
activities right there in their community, they're not gonna know how to make the adjustment even later in life. You know,
Right.
I don't have biological children, but we take care of my nephews when we get a chance. And so
Mhm.
I remember when I first became a TT and my oldest
Mhm.
nephew, I was like, okay, I'm going to try to do everything I can to help my sister in whatever capacity to broaden his horizons. And so
Mhm.
he came to spend the summer with us. And I mean, literally like 8 weeks. He was with me for 8 weeks. It was always important for me to give him things to do to have him think. So when he came that
Right.
summer, he stayed the longest time was about 8 weeks. Um, I knew that I was going to have him. I had a camp that I had him, registered for. But then I
Mm-hmm.
also knew we were going to go to Washington D.C. We were going to see
Mm-hmm.
things of that nature. But before we left to go to the Capitol, I had him reading about the Lincoln Memorial, the monument.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I had him reading about the Smithsonian Museum and he was into airplanes and in that museum. So when he
Mm-hmm.
got there, he had a point of reference. He had a point of reference for everything. My husband was like, "Who does homework during the summer?" I said, "My nephew,"
Yeah.
you know. But it was about exposing him to something more.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
the joke is this, Ernestine. The joke is this. He was in the Lego camp, engineering camp. He was
Mm-hmm.
Washington D.C. and got to see all this stuff. And we took him to Myrtle Beach so he could see the Atlantic Ocean and hang out in the
Mm-hmm.
water and all this jazz. And you know what his favorite part of the trip was? Hanging
Eating.
out at the pool table at my uncle's house.
That's what I'm trying to tell you,
I'm like,
baby.
we spent all
If
this
it's in them,
money.
it's just in them, baby.
He just
Okay.
he's like, man, Uncle Charles' pool table and his man cave was so. I'm like, really?
Yeah, I'm in Atlanta now, and in my stepchildren, we're getting ready to do some activities, and I'm looking, I'm like, okay, we can go here, we can go there, and I'm just looking for things to do because we live in a small city, Albany, Georgia, and
Okay,
it's not much for you to do. So I'm like, okay, while we're in Atlanta, we're gonna find something to do
right,
because
right,
I want them to explore and I want them to broaden their horizons. So
exactly,
I
exactly.
believe in that. I
That's
believe
what
in that.
that's what we're here for, Ernestine. That's our job and our responsibility. I agree with you totally. So,
Yes,
speak,
ma'am.
speaking of books and broaden horizons, now this is Women in Publishing, and I know you've authored at least one book. I want people to know a little
Three.
bit. Well, see, that's what I was going to ask you. I felt like there was more, and I didn't want to
Mhm.
just make any assumptions. So this is the time now. But listen, Linda, well, Ernestine, tell everybody a little bit. Introduce your books. Go one by one and give us a little snippet. Are they available on Amazon or do they have to purchase them
Yeah,
online? Okay, so
the
I'll
first two are. And okay, so I am an author of three books. The third one is the final installment. I'm currently is in publishing now.
got
So I'm doing pre-orders for that. But let me take you on a journey. So my first book is entitled Bound by Love. And Bound by Love is really an autobiography about my life in the form of poetry. And the reason why it was titled Bound by Love is because um, for 15 years, I'm a divorcee, but when my ex-husband left me for another woman, I held on to him. And it took me 15 years to get over that.
Oh
And
wow.
what happened was, I mentioned to you about my spiritual mother,
Mhm.
Apostle Hope. My church family called me Ernie, and she helped walk me through that transition. And I remember doing our one-on-ones, she said, Ernie, you need to keep a journal about everything you go through. So I remember in that season of my life, I was going through so much pain, and I would just write every morning and write every night before I go to sleep or try to sleep. And out of that pain, going through the divorce and going through the separation, other things came up that I kind of locked away, tucked away in a vault, like me being raped and when I was younger, and so all of that just came up. All of that pain just came up, and so the reason why I entitled it "Bound by Love" because I was bound by the love of a man. I didn't know how to break free. I didn't know how to let that go, and I written that book 15 years ago, but what happened in 2020, I coded 3 times. I was diagnosed with a lung condition. And while I was in critical care unit, the Holy Spirit spoke to me and he said, I did not allow you to take your purpose to the grave. And when you are released, for you to release your first book. So Bound by Love was birthed in 2021. And then from Bound by Love, the second installment came entitled Freed by Love. And that's where Bound by Love, I transitioned from pain to power, Freed by love, I discovered my power. So now it's a self-awareness, and it's me being freed by the love of Christ. So it takes you on that journey. The third and final chapter of this three-part series is the book that I'm currently working on now that you all should be having in your hand, Women's Month. This month is called I Am Love. And that book is the trilogy, the final chapter of this whole journey of me discovering who I am, because I am love with no motives. And when it's something about when you discover yourself, your identity, your purpose, it's like you wasn't dead, but you was buried alive, if that makes sense, and just to come up from all of it, the dark, and being unburied. And then once you get cleaned up, girl, look at me, okay? Let me rewind and say that again. Once you get cleaned up and you discover who you are, it's a certain kind of power that comes with that, a confidence that comes with that,
Oh,
a resilience that comes with that, and you will never go back. You understand? So, like the first person that I was in love with, and I felt like we were soulmates and everything like that, that almost killed me, but it really made me. You
yeah.
understand?
Yeah.
And it's like you hear the saying, "What don't kill you make you stronger." But I did die. And I had to die to live. You understand? I
Yeah.
didn't lose. I mean, I was homeless. I lost everything. But I had to lose to gain. And I'm telling you, there's such a discovery in all of that. That trauma is such a discovery when you come out of that you end up gaining more than you ever lost.
I love
The
I
story of
love that.
Job, where he ended up getting double and really
Double for
triple.
trouble,
You
right?
understand?
Yeah.
So I'm living in my double season. What I thought was over is just beginning, and I'm just super excited to show not only women but men. It's something in there for everyone, but I'm just so excited to show people this transition of my life, because everything that I've been through, I have been living out loud. I from everyone who has followed me, has followed my journey, is out there on social media, is in my books. But here's the beautiful part about my books, especially with Bound by Love. When the Lord told me he didn't allow me to take my purpose to the grave, I remember getting some medical equipment delivered to my house. And the young lady that delivered my medical equipment, she said she wasn't even supposed to do it, but something happened to the delivery driver, so she did it. And the Holy Spirit said, "Well, before she leave, give her one of your books." So I said, "Hold on." I said, "God told me to bless you with my book." So when she went back to her office, she called me. She looked up my number because she didn't know me from a can of paint.
Right. Right.
She was boohoo crying. And she said, "How did you know? How did you know?" And I'm like, "Ma'am." And she said, "On this morning, I was driving to work." This is what she said. She
Mm-hmm.
said, "I was driving to work and I told God that I was tired, I was through." And she said she had planned to end her life that day. And she told me when I gave her my book, the first poem that she read, she said it was talking about her life. She was boohoo crying. She said, "You just saved my life.
Oh
You
wow.
just saved
Oh,
my life."
I
And
got
and I have
goosebumps.
had so many testimonies like that about my books. And when she said that to me, that's what made me realize this is bigger than me. This
Yes.
is my
Yes.
story, but it's not for me. I had to go through everything that I went through. It was necessary. It had to happen. And I'm glad that the Lord allowed me to be a vessel.
I was going to say
You
that.
know,
That's exactly
he
right.
breathed life into me so I can, my pen is breathing life into others. My pen is breathing
Ernestine,
life into
I
others.
don't know if you were watching the first half of this show when I was talking with Miss Tiffany BRenee, because she's written books. She's written four, and her books she's a poet just like you are, and when
Mhm.
she's written the story, the content is about her life, different things she went through, issues with infertility, she went through a bad marriage, yada yada yada. All of this she's written about, and women have come to her just much like this young lady came to you and thanked her for writing the book. And so I made reference in the first half of this segment is
Mhm.
that our stories, when we are fortunate enough to go through traumas,
Mhm.
challenges, the good, the bad, the ugly, I don't know how you want to define it. And we
Mhm.
owe it to the next person to share that, because we don't know who else is dealing with what we've overcome, right?
Amen.
Oftentimes
Mhm.
in our community, we don't talk about everything. We keep things quiet. But
Yes.
and here's the thing, you're writing the story not only helps people now, but in the event you are no longer here, that book remains in
Yes.
existence for other people to continue to be blessed by, encouraged by, empowered by, to learn.
Amen.
So your legacy continues. But we don't write anything down. You like me, that's why writing is so important. That's why women
Mhm.
engaged in publishing the book. My one of my platforms is that your voice has value.
Amen.
Your voice
Mhm.
has value. So whether it be something like your situation of having to being bound and now being free, or going through whatever traumas that life brings about, or simply that you're a professional woman in a certain career and you want to be a mentor or a voice to help other young women to accomplish
Mhm.
the things and to learn from the lessons that you learn, everyone needs to write a signature book or books, because
Amen.
your
Everyone. That's
voice
right.
has value. Ernestine, when is this third book? Now, let me ask you this: are all three books of poetry?
Yes, all three books are books of poetry. I want to go back and say something because what you just said, even about legacy, is very important. It's amazing that the Lord knows the plans that He has for us. Because I remember being in high school in my literature class, and I was reading William Shakespeare. It must have been Hamlet or Macbeth, but I remember one thing that connected me to William Shakespeare was our birthdays is the same. His birthday is April 23rd. So I got a birthday coming up. But I'm gonna tell you, I remember looking at this literature and I said to myself as a 15-year-old child, I said, one day people are gonna read my writing, they're gonna study my work and as I'm thinking this in my mind,
Yeah,
right? As I'm thinking this, I'm thinking I would be dead by that time.
right.
Well, in 2021 or 2022, my mother works for a school in Dangerfield, Texas. And her at the time, her principal, who's now a superintendent, Miss Lisa, her secretary gave her my book, Bound by Love, and let her read it. Miss Lisa ordered the book from Amazon. The book blessed her so much, she called me. Her name is Lisa Lewis. Shout out, Miss Lisa. But she called me and she said, your book have inspired me so much. Is it okay if I purchase your book and place it in our school library because I want our children to study your work?
I love it.
And I was like, what?
I
And she said, and she asked me, and she said, I wanted to get your permission before I do it. And I was like, I would be honored. And I said, my mom and my dad is going to visit me for Thanksgiving. So I tell you what, I'll do one better. Don't purchase the book. I'm going to send an autographed copy of my book for the children there. So they put the book in the library. I have my book right now. Kids are studying my
love
work
it.
right now in
Right.
Dangerfield, Texas. And I could not believe it because I'm alive and
I
it's
know, right.
happening in real time. And so when you spoke of legacy, I didn't know I was going to, when I was that little 15-year-old little girl, I did not know that I would see that in
Right.
real time
Right.
as
Right.
I live. So I wanted to share that. But
I
yes,
love
I
it.
Am Love right now is my third book. And it will be available on Amazon as well. But also I have a website where everyone can purchase their books directly from me if you don't want to go to my website. I
let's
mean, to
let's let's
Amazon.
let's give them your website,
Okay.
because it's one thing for them to purchase the book, but it's another thing to say, listen, I need that lady to come talk to my women's group or my yada yada yada, or be a part of my
Amen.
next conference. So if they're interested in that, can they go to your website for that as well for bookings?
Yes, it's www.propheticinspirations.org. That's www.propheticinspirations with an S at the end
Okay.
.org. And that is my website. And you can go there and you can purchase my book. And right now, I Am Love is on pre-order for $25. It's not only a book, but it's also a journal and a devotional as what excuse me as well, incorporated in one. And if you buy Free by Love and Bound by Love by me, you can get both of those books too for $25.
Okay, so it's propheticinspirations.org.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Propheticinspirations.org. Yes,
Okay, so
ma'am.
let me show it to our people that might be seeing it now. Make sure that's right. I hope I typed
Yes,
that
that is
correctly.
correct.
Okay, excellent.
Propheticinspirations.org. Yes, ma'am.
So
So,
Ernestine,
and then you can, as she was stating, if you want me to come speak to your group or do any kind of speaking engagements, I do that as well. And you can book that through propheticinspirations.org. Yes, ma'am.
so here's what I heard in just our conversation: the
Yes, ma'am.
importance of journaling. You
Yes.
spoke to that because now the content for which, because we'll forget things, but
Hmm.
nothing is lost when it's on pen and paper, right? So you talked about
Right.
the importance of journaling. I would say just in general, but especially when you're going through life. Okay, when you're
Yes.
going through life. So writing your thoughts. There's a lot of That's a very cathartic experience to write,
Mhm.
and to, that helps you even with the healing process. So
Yes.
you talked to the importance of that. You spoke to the importance of, in just this session, of broadening your horizons, not being limited
Yes.
to your surroundings, being willing to think outside the box, to travel outside the box, to try new things, to engage with different diverse peoples, because it enlarges your territory mentally. There we go with that talk about enlarging our territory, right?
Absolutely.
You spoke to the importance of vision.
Yes. Come
Vision
on, walk with it.
at the age of 15. Okay. Not know whether you put it on paper or not. There is power in vision. That's why it's so important that we feed our children information that broadens their thinking, that feeds their imagination, because what you everything we see first started with a thought. Everything.
Amen.
If you're not thinking about anything, obviously that's the reason why nothing is happening. So you got to be thinking. But your thought at the age of 15, and even though you may not have written it down, you actually spoke it to yourself. One day I'm going to have XYZ. And here it is
Yes.
now, fast forward. What you said at 15 is actually happening
It's
today.
manifesting. And
Not
I don't
only,
believe I've seen anything yet.
I
Yes,
know,
ma'am.
no, it's all coming. It's still coming to pass. And then you spoke to the importance of being transparent and being vulnerable, and have
Yes.
the courage to write the book, because your
Right.
voice has value, because you were willing to do the journal, which was a private introspect. That was for you. The journal was,
Mhm.
but then to take it the
Absolutely.
next step and say, I'm going to publish, and I'm going to reveal, and I'm going to open up my life. And whether that be publicly on social media or even in writing, you were able to overcome things that you probably would not have been able to overcome if you had not been so transparent and authentic. And even in that courage, you've made significant strides and empowered and put a major fingerprint on the lives of other women. There are many others, I don't doubt, that are much like the young lady who called you back and said, how did you know to give me this book? Right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Ernestine, what if you didn't have the
So,
book? What if you didn't have the book? You see what I'm saying? It's little things like
yes.
that. We don't know. So again, you have, girl, listen.
And you know what? Is that question I gotta go right back to that. What if I didn't have the book? And
Right,
here's the answer to that question. I wanna because for those who are listening, your
right.
listener, the audience, I had the book. The book was inside of me. I never written the book. Again, the key thing is the Lord told me He did not allow me to take my purpose to the
To the
grave.
grave.
We don't know the day or the time. And I feel led to say this. But whatever is inside of you, I'm talking to the audience, whatever dream you have, whatever you know that calling, that purpose is, step out on faith. Let your faith override your fear.
Exactly.
Because what happened to me, it was called grace. Okay. What happened to me, well, it was called grace. Because just like Queen Anissa said, what if I did not have that book?
Hmm.
That young lady probably would have ended her life that
That
day.
very
You
day. That
understand?
very day.
That very day, and so every morning that we get up with mercy and grace. So do not allow that to run out. Don't allow your time to run out. Don't allow your grace to run out. Whatever book that's inside of you, whatever movie that's inside of you, whatever ministry, whatever business that is inside of you,
Right.
there's
Right.
somebody need what you have. There's
Exactly.
somebody's life connected to your life. There's
Exactly.
somebody's life connected to your purpose. So release it.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I could say something else, but if I did, we would go beyond our 30 minutes. We'd be here to
I
rest.
had to say that. I
And I know I
apologize.
appreciate you saying that, because what I was going to actually say was that you're a perfect example of one's voice having value. You brought value to the table. You bring value to
Thank
the
you.
table every time you bring your book, every time you extend your book. That voice is, you may not ever see people, and that's another thing about the importance of writing it. There are people who are destined to hear your message, who need your message, that you may not meet because we live in Savannah, Georgia, or Albany, Georgia, or Fayetteville, North Carolina. But the book could be passed on to someone in another city, another state, another country that needs
Right.
the content of what you provided. And so thank you for having the courage to write the
Thank
book.
you.
There's another point you brought out. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this in here, and we're gonna close for real.
Come on,
Is that
throw that in there.
some people have that inside of them, and they know they need to write, but they're not in the right community of people to pour into them or push them. You
Come
had
on.
your spirit, you call her your spiritual mother, to tell
Yes.
you to journal, who was there to push you, to mentor you, to help you navigate through the season that you were in. And that
Yes.
was very important to where you are right now, right? So,
Absolutely.
so for those who might be interested in writing a book, who thought about it and think that's so crazy, nobody in my circle has written a book. I don't know any authors. Guess what? And this is short. And now I just introduce you to my new friend, Ernestine Smith. There are women out there waiting on your story. Your story has value. And Ernestine, you are a beautiful example of how you allowed life to be translated into a tangible form that other people can benefit from and be empowered by and be inspired
Amen.
by. And I look forward to us talking even more and working together
Yes.
and staying connected. Listen, you guys see the website on the screen, propheticinspirations.org. This is how you can connect with this beautiful personality. Buy her books, pre-order the one that's to come soon, and book her for your next women's empowerment or what. And just don't forget that you met her because of me. Let's be clear. Y'all
And
never
may
know.
I add to that, Queen Anissa, before you close? I just want to let the audience know as well that I am a pastor. I have my own platform, the Word
Oh,
of the Day, on Clubhouse app. So if you all want to follow me there as well, you will see it on my website. But if you want to follow me, download the Clubhouse app. Prophetic Inspirations ES is the house.
okay.
Join the house. I'm there every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at
Okay.
9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
So
So I just want to,
all the ways they can reach you can be found on this website, right?
yes,
They can
every
connect to
one
every
stop shop,
one stop
YouTube,
shop.
Facebook, Instagram, and Clubhouse.
I love it.
Amen.
Proficient, professional, and powerful. I love it, Miss
Oh,
Ernestine L. Smith. Listen, thank you
come on
again for
with it
being.
now. Queen
Thank you.
Ernestine, let the people
Okay,
know.
cool. Let me
Okay.
add the queen in there. I appreciate you saying yes
Thank
to the
you.
invitation, and thank you again for the flexibility and being
Thank
willing to
you.
pivot. I see why now us connecting was so important, because you have a message that needs to be shared.
Yes,
Ladies and
ma'am.
gentlemen who may be watching, join us out for the rest of this month. I got another guest on Monday. I got guests next Saturday. This whole month, Women's History Month, is about women in publishing, and I wanted you to meet the personalities, but I also wanted to emphasize, and I hope we've done that thus far, and especially today, on conveying the importance of your voice. Your voice
Yes,
has value, and it makes
yes,
an impact on the people that you come into contact from day to day. But I have no doubt in my mind that there are other voices that need to hear you, and the best way for
absolutely.
them to do it is for you to publish that book. So I don't everybody out there, if you want to join me, feel free to join me Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern, next Saturday, 1 p.m. at Eastern, right here, same place, same time. We're going to have more beautiful personalities that are engaged in the publishing industry. You're going to learn a little bit more, and I'm excited about each and every woman. Listen, I wish I had, maybe we need another month. I may do it again,
Yes,
okay? Because I'm sure there are more women out there that need to be introduced. So again,
yes,
thank you so
ma'am.
much, Ernestine. Thank you so
Thank
much. If
you.
there's
Thank
any
you,
way I
Queen
can
Anita.
assist you, let me know. Let me know if there's any way I can help you. All right.
Yes, ma'am. Will do. Thank you.
Have a great Saturday, everybody. Thank you for being our special guest, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. Same time, same place. Be sure to share us with a friend. Have a wonderful day.